Good morning students, good morning all of you, and I hope you all are well following the COVID precaution as well. I know you all are very excited to come to school because now school is going to open very soon. So you all are excited and even I am also excited for that. So as you all know that we were studying about the criteria which is needed for the combustion, and we have already talked about that air is necessary for combustion. Now what is next which is necessary and needed for combustion? That is your heat. Heat is also needed for combustion, but why it is needed for combustion we will discuss about this. Why is heat needed for the combustion? So today we will discuss about this. Now before we talk about it, let us think of some simple scenario. Think of the matchstick. How does a matchstick catch fire? Does the matchstick catch fire on its own? No, we need to put some effort. What do? We have strike the matchstick against the rough surface of the matchbox. So only when we do that, it catches fire. Why do we strike it? And why is that needed? That is because when we strike the matchstick with the matchbox, there is friction. And friction produces heat. And when this heat is produced, it increases the temperature of the matchstick. And when the temperature increases, it catches fire. So basically, what it tells that any combustible substance catches fire only when its temperature reaches ignition temperature. You might ask, what is ignition temperature? We will talk about it just now. So basically means that it is not that any substance will catch fire just any time on its own. Okay, so substance which catches fire only when its temperature reaches a particular temperature. So in order that a temperature reaches that temperature, it has to be provided some heat, and only then it will rise, and that is why heat is needed for combustion. So ignition temperature is the lowest temperature at which a substance catches fire. Now ignition, the word ignition is come from the word ignited, to ignite something, to burn something, to make something catch fire. That is ignition. Now this temperature is not same for different substances. Every substances will have its own ignition temperature. There will be some substances which have very low ignition temperature. So low ignition temperature means they will burn easily, they easily catch fire because already their temperature is low. It's like your passing marks. For example, in our school, the passing mark is 23 out of 80. In another school, the passing marks is 30 out of 100. So if the passing marks is lower, then it is easier to pass. Yes? So if the passing marks is 60, it is more difficult to pass. So in the similar way, that ignition temperature is less, it is easy for the substance to catch fire because that temperature when it gets ignited is very less. If the ignition temperature of a substance is very high, then it will not catch fire easily. Right? So what do we say is substances which with low ignition temperature catches fire more easily. Now I think you will be able to understand why do we need to strike the match. So what happen is, so friction is involved and friction produces heat. So this heat increases the temperature of the matchstick so that it is able to reach its ignition temperature. Now you might ask that is the matchstick is a combustible substance? Of course, if you look at the head of the matchstick, it is made of it is made up of one of the most constituent that and that is phosphorus, which is highly reactive. It reacts very violently with the air so that it can catch fire. So with phosphorus, it presents a small amount of phosphorus and all. We will discuss about how matchstick work in little later, but for now we should just understand that heat is important for combustion. Every substance will not undergo combustion on its own. all of them have some ignition temperature. So external heat is to be applied to that. So this is how we found that the three criteria is very important for the combustion to take place, that a combustible substance, heat and air. So let us look at some more examples of different substances with different ignition temperature. So if you look at this screen, you see in the first example you see a paper which is a combustible substance. In the second example you see a wood is a combustible substance. Now which of these do you think catch fire easily? So if you bring a small matchstick which is burning, near the piece of paper, it catches fire because the ignition temperature of paper is comparatively low. So it catches as soon as you provide a little heat by bringing the burning matchstick near it, it reaches its ignition temperature and it catches fire. Whereas if you consider for a few logs of wood and you take a tiny matchstick near that, it might not readily catch fire. Whereas if you take this burning piece of paper in front of these logs of wood, it will catch fire because that entire burning paper will give more heat, it provides more heat to the wood. And because the ignition temperature of wood is little higher, so they need more heat to reach that temperature. So if you actually look at the values, the ignition temperature of wood is somewhere around 300 degrees Celsius and of the paper is 218 to 245 degrees Celsius. So that's how the roughly ignition temperature are. So whichever have the lower ignition temperature, it easily catches fire. Now when we talk about ignition temperature, it is very important, two important concept. One is flash point and the other is auto ignition temperature. Now what are these two and how are they different from each other? There are two things. Whenever any combustible substance, one that it is so highly reactive that it can catch fire on its own. If you heat that substance, it will easily catch fire on its own. Second thing is, the substance always need a source to ignite it. For example, certain things need something else to initiate the process of ignition. So when we talk about flash point, it is the lowest temperature at which a substance can vaporize to form a ignitable mixture in air. So in case of flash point, ignition source is needed. You need an external substance in order to start a process of ignition. So let us take this example. For example, if you think of kerosene. So kerosene is a combustible substance, right? So if you talk about the flash point of this kerosene, it is somewhere around 38 to 72 degrees Celsius. That is the flash point of kerosene. Now what do we mean by flash point of kerosene? If you compare the flash point of kerosene with that of wood, if you look at the flash point of wood, it is quite higher when compared to kerosene. Now since wood has a higher flash point than kerosene, therefore kerosene catches fire more easily. Now if you have two scenarios, in first scenario you have few logs of wood, in the second scenario you have few logs of wood with kerosene spilled over it. So which of these two will catch fire easily? The second one, because it has kerosene and kerosene has lower flash point. So it will very easily get ignited when an ignition source is there. Maybe you bring a matchstick near it, so that matchstick act as an ignition source. So that the kerosene get converted into vapors, and during this vaporization we see it as a fire because it is an ignitable mixture which is seen in the air. So this flash point actually indicate the combustibility of a substance. So whichever substance is higher flash point, its combustibility is little lesser. Now similarly, if you look at the flash point of diesel, it has a flash point of around 52 to 96 Celsius. Now why do you have this range? It means that anywhere between in these two temperature, maybe any temperature between these two, kerosene catch fire if there is any ignition source present. So on its own it will not catch fire at these temperature. At these temperature it can catch fire only if there is any ignition source is present. Now the next concept is auto ignition temperature. So auto means self, ignition which happen itself is called auto ignition temperature. So in this case you really do not need at any ignition sources. So when a combustible substance reaches this temperature, it will ignite on its own. Suddenly it will get ignited. Now when you look at this same kerosene, so we saw that flash point of kerosene which was somewhere around 32 to 70 degrees Celsius. Now when you look at the auto ignition temperature of the kerosene, you see that it is somewhere around 295 degrees Celsius, which is very high. So what does this mean? It means that it has a flash point which is in the range of 28 to 72 degrees Celsius. That means within that temperature range it ignited if there is a source present. Okay, but if there is no external sources present, kerosene cannot catch fire until and unless it reaches to the temperature 295 degrees Celsius. Okay, but if we start heating kerosene that it reaches 295 degrees Celsius, then it will automatically get ignited. So it will catch fire on its own. So that is why this temperature is called auto ignition temperature. So please understand the difference between the flash point. Flash point is only when you have an external source which can make that object catch fire, and auto ignition means you do not need any source. Once the object is heated to that temperature, it will catch fire on its own. Okay, so here no external source is needed. No ignition source is needed. So let us look at a few other examples. Like coal, auto ignition temperature is around 500 degrees Celsius. That means when you heat coal to this temperature, it will catch fire on its own. And that is what happened in so many coal mines. We have discussed about coal mines, right? Coal formation take place deep under the ground. Now wherever you have huge coal mines, since the temperature is very high inside the earth, so sometime what happen is when it reaches around 500 degrees Celsius, and that is where coal get ignited spontaneously on its own, and that is how we have coal fires in the mines. You take example of wood. So in case of wood, this auto ignition temperature is somewhere around 300 degrees Celsius. So wood is heated to 300 degrees Celsius. It starts to release hydrocarbon which react with oxygen in the air, and that's how it catches fire. So whenever you talk about auto ignition temperature, it is a temperature to which if you heat a particular combustible substance, that substance will catch fire on its own. So that is auto ignition temperature. So a substance which have a higher auto ignition temperature, that substance is not catch fire easily. For example, if you compare coal and wood, so if you heat both coal and wood, which will catch fire faster? Wood, because as soon as wood reaches 300 degrees Celsius, then only it catch fire. But for coal, it can go beyond 500 up to 500 degrees Celsius. So any object, both these things, flash points and auto ignition temperature, both of these indicate the combustibility of a substance. So knowing these values, we can calculate or we can predict which substance catch fire more easily than others. And knowing combustibility of various substances, we can choose each of them for various purposes. For example, I will give you some common example. In the cylinder which are used in our kitchen, we prepare food. So what kind of fuel do we use? We use coal? No. We use LPG, right? So because if you look at the properties of LPG, so this is another fact that LPG also has many advantages, like it is not cause pollution and it is a clean fuel, etc. But other than that also, when you know the ignition temperature at the flash point of these fuels, you actually decide whether these fuel will be suitable for this purpose or not. Because when you are preparing food, you give some specific range of temperature. So when you is keeping heater in the house, so the cylinder is exposed to room temperature. So basically you can decide whether that particular fuel will be suitable for that purpose, knowing its auto ignition temperature and flash point. So now, knowing this concept of auto ignition temperature and flash point, we will see that how water helps to control the fire. Have you ever seen that a building catches fire, or if a shop catches fire, what happens? People call fire brigade, and what do? They try to put off the fire using water. Now, why water helps to extinguish fire? What is that property in water which helps to get away the fire? Now, water cools the combustible substance. Now, we saw that there are three criteria of combustion, right? What were the three criteria? The first was a fuel or a combustible substance. The second was the presence of air or oxygen, and the third was heat, so that the substance reach its ignition temperature and catch fire. Now, if you want to put off the fire, let's say something has already caught fire and now we do not want that fire. So how do we put off that fire? If any of these criteria is not fulfilled, there will be no combustion and there will be no fire. Now, what does that water do? Water is quite cold, and therefore whenever you put water into a hot substance, it reduces its overall temperature of that substance. So basically, instead of providing heat, you are actually making the substance more cold. So you are reducing the temperature of the substance. Now, when you reduce the temperature, what happens? Again, the substance temperature comes below the ignition temperature. So below the ignition temperature, a substance cannot catch fire, and that is why it doesn't catch fire again, and that's how the fire stops. Because what is fire? Fire is nothing but the result of reaction of the substance with oxygen, right? So right now the substance is still in contact. So right now the substance is still in contact with the oxygen, but it will not be able to release enough energy because it has not reached its ignition temperature. So that is how the fire is put off. So because the temperature falls below the ignition temperature, so you see, using water, this criteria is not fulfilled, and that is why there is no fire, and that is how the concept of water as a fire extinguisher works. Now, water cannot be used as a fire extinguisher in all the scenarios. For example, if you take example of spaces where there are a lot of electrical equipments or electrical wires, for example, in office spaces where you have a lot of computer and machinery and factories and industries where there is a lot of electrical equipments involved, water is not a good choice as fire extinguisher. Can you tell me why? Because when I am talking about water, I am not talking about distilled water. I am talking about water, normal water, which contains mineral and salt. So this water is a good conductor of electricity. So normal water. So when I say normal water is a good conductor of electricity, I mean to say not pure. The water which you use in our day-to-day life, that is not distilled water. So it is a good conductor of electricity. Now, since it is a good conductor, so what happens is, when you put water on an electrical equipment which caught fire, so the chances of getting electrical shock is very high, because water will also start conducting the electricity which might be present on those electrical wires and electrical equipment, and therefore the water is not at all a good choice to be used as fire extinguisher in involving in electrical equipment. So which is alternative choice? The alternative choice is carbon dioxide. Now, what special is there in CO2? That it can control fire, because carbon dioxide cannot act as a cooling agent, but it can do something else. So what carbon dioxide actually does is, it acts as a blanket over the substance which caught fire. Now this, as I again said, there are three criteria, correct? The first is fuel, second is oxygen, and third is heat. Now water acts as a fire extinguisher because it acts as a third criteria. but carbon dioxide, it acts as the second criteria. Now carbon dioxide is a gas and oxygen is also a gas. This carbon dioxide is heavier than oxygen, so carbon dioxide is heavier than when compared to oxygen. Now since it is heavier, so it settles down. As a result, what happens is carbon dioxide acts as a blanket surrounding this entire substance. So let us suppose this is a wire. Just an example, this brown color which you see is a wire and it caught fire. So over this wire, with fire, the carbon dioxide will act as a blanket. So here you will have CO2 blanket, and where is oxygen? Oxygen is just above, it is present in the surrounding, it is present here. Now basically if you see, due to the presence of this blanket over CO2, the contact between oxygen and the substance, this is the substance, the contact between oxygen and substance is being cut due to the presence of carbon dioxide in between. Now since the supply of oxygen is cut, therefore there is no oxygen supply and there is no combustion, so there is no fire. So that is how CO2 acts as a fire extinguisher. Now how do we actually, for example, in case of water, we just bring water maybe in bucket or in a pipe and we try to extinguish fire. But how do we do with CO2, with carbon dioxide? So CO2 is present in liquid form in fire extinguishers. If you look in your school also, the red color fire extinguisher boxes, inside that you have CO2 in liquid form, and when it is liquid form, it neutralizes the oxygen that is actually causing the fire. So another advantage of using those carbon dioxide is that fire do not occur immediately because of the lack of oxygen. All the oxygen is being it doesn't reoccur, okay, because of the lack of oxygen. All the oxygen being sent out by the CO2, so it also neutralizes the oxygen, so there is no more oxygen surrounding the substance, and as a result there is no fire. In fact, the carbon dioxide which is directly released from the extinguisher, that is also act as have a ice cold temperature, extremely cold. So there is certain precaution which needs to be followed while applying the carbon dioxide in office spaces or any spaces which got fire. So what we have learned that we can control fire either by using water or by using carbon dioxide. The basic concept is one of the three criteria needed for the combustion needs to be limited. That is, one of those criteria need to be falsified, and then the combustion cannot happen and there will be no. Okay, so I hope this would be understood by you, and if there is any query you can ask me in your Google Meet class, students. Okay.